All right, hello, welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We are back to, actually no, we are starting playing Symbaroum tonight. Brand new game, same crew as our former werewolf game, but we're now moving over to dark fantasy, and we'll see how it goes. I was telling Kipser earlier that this feels like I've been cramming for a test and cramming for a test and cramming for a test, and the test is here, and I have literally forgotten everything that I studied. So, but fortunately, Evan's played this game a bunch, so it'll be pretty easy. We're all going to turn to him, and he's going to tell us how to play. So, we're basically just going to be here while Evan play. We're like his toys, and he's just going to play with the toys while we. That's that. That's all it is. So, Evan, how long have you been playing Symbaroum? I know you said you've had a couple campaigns. Like, how long have you actually played the game?
Probably close to like a year and a half. I think we've had 3 separate campaigns that have all been like homebrew with some adventure packs sprinkled in there.
We are doing the official Throne of Thorns campaign, which it should take us approximately 7 years, thereabouts. So I hope everyone has cleared their calendars.
I may die from old age sitting at my desk here.
Who dies first, Madjac or Aaron? I don't know. Put your votes in the chat. Oh goodness! And Aaron, you've played Runes of Symbaroum. You played the fifth edition version, right? Okay, and I think the rest of us is brand new. So it's been on my shelf for a very long time. I've been reading it for a very long time, but for one reason or another, I haven't got to it. So very excited to get started, and I'm just going to continue stalling. So what do you guys want to talk about? But now let's.
Well, we can talk about Stephen's Scottish accent again for a little while.
He's not here yet. We can't make fun of him as he's actually here. It doesn't feel right.
He'll see the bod.
It feels better. He doesn't watch our show. Never watched that stuff. All right, so we are So if you're familiar with Wrath of the Warden, if you're familiar with Throne of Thorns, obviously we're going to be making some changes, some tweaks and stuff here and there. So don't be alarmed if that's the case. As we're just gonna make it work for us, how we run games, how we play games, and how I run games, how they play games, whatever it is. So don't be alarmed, as we'll probably take some license here and there, but at the same time try to embrace the kind of dark fantasy tones of the game and kind of go from there. All right, we ready to go? We're gonna do some intros, but we're gonna do them in game in character. We're not gonna do just basic. Who are you playing? Who are you? That kind of stuff. So we're gonna dive in directly. Okay. So let me get a little music going, a little mood music. Let me set the lighting. Wouldn't it be great if I could just hit a button and just everything gets really dark all of a sudden? That'd be fantastic. All right. So let's begin. So we're gonna open. Just imagine for a moment. We're opening with a bird's eye view of the town of Thistlehold. All right, so burgeoning city along the southern edge of Davokar, this dark, ageless, ancient forest that the entire game is built around, right? We can see to the east, the west, the south, all these scattered travelers here and there, pulling carts, steering oxen, lumbering forward across muddy roads, through eventually these guarded gates in the palisade of Thistlehold itself. The sky is relatively overcast, and there's only like very tiny bits of light kind of coming down, but otherwise is a sort of middle day, afternoon kind of deal. And as we pick up, we're just watching this scattered group of people come through, get let in, and we follow them inside and we begin sweeping across the city streets, right? The crowded blocks. And we can see so many different blocks. It's a crowded, clumped city in the sense that blocks and buildings are built atop each other. But there are some landmarks that stand out. Near the eastern gate, as we come in, we see the Winged Ladle Inn. This building perched atop this massive gnarled tree. We can see its boughs and its branches, almost like fingers cradling the building itself, and the fingers outstretching towards the sky. Reach up a little further inward and we see the Park of the Elders, where the shining copper dome of the town's sun temple is there, just picking up rays from above. And we watch as parishioners funnel inside for guidance, for prayer, for the mercy of Prios. And we shift northward a bit in the city, where we can see Toad Square, where a couple drunkards here and there are staggering from a tavern to a dive, etc. The salons of Symbaroum look out over this square, over this stone-framed pond, and over the statue of a huge toad-like monster, which has given the square its name. We start to shift and travel a little further westward now over towards the Abomatorium, this large Colosseum-like structure in the western side of the city. You can see stains of blood and grime darkening the arena floor, even now, despite the fact that it's not fight day and it's still a few days out. We shift a little further along, and we see the Tower of the Ordo Magica. We can see it's looming over these well-tended gardens filled with many strange plants that have been taken or gleaned, or seedlings sprouted from the forest and replanted here. And then we focus as well on the Antique Plaza, where we can see merchants and crafters peddling artifacts and craftworks, and market stalls are lining the streets and the plaza's bronze well, and bards and minstrels are singing for Thaler, and pickpockets are lurking in the shadows in droves. And while we're here, we settle a bit on the southern side of the plaza, about a block or so away, where we see Mother Mahira's agency, where we can see folks who at least look the part of fortune hunter are coming and going. And Aaron, who is it do we see here, and what are they doing?
So you see a young man, probably in his early 20s, stands around 5'10", but he's slumped a little, leaned up against a post holding the porch up at Mother Mahira's. He's got a wiry, strong build and short, tousled, dark brown hair that with maybe just a hint of auburn as the sunlight hits it. He's wearing a Godinja half mask in the shape of a force devil that hides his eyes and covers his nose. But beneath that, he's got an easy, ready smile that draws people in regardless. When you look at him, he's wearing a mottled poncho in the enforced colors that breaks up the lines of his body, helps him scout when he's on the move. Peeking from beneath that poncho, it looks like he's wearing some well-worn but cared-for light armor. And you see a quiver and a bow across his back, and leaned up next to him is a spear. And you can see he's looking down at a goblin standing next to him. A rival. Hugalia. Hey, Hugalia. Those Ambrian treasure hunters, they're going to be mine. Listen, I know you're good. But it's my due. So I'm going to take them out. Now we can shoot for it if you want. Your bow against my bow. And then we'll see who drops the thalers.
Well, it seems only fair that we do shoot for it. I don't know why you get those and I get none. It's not like they're going to say bad things about you. They'll spit and look at me and all sorts of evil things. You blend in just fine. So it seems only right.
At least I'm not telling them about the last expedition you led out there and walked them right into a bog. They barely got out.
Well, they did not pay properly, and that is what you get for not paying properly. You get not my best.
All right, hey, listen. If fair is fair, we shoot for it, and the loser walks away. Deal?
Deal.
All right. Madjac, go ahead and let's roll a test. So take your shot.
Any modifier?
I'm checking my Goblin Warrior really fast here to see if I have a modifier. Because it'll be like versus him, right? -1. -1.
Got it.
Our first roll.
So it's D20. He's rolling, and we're rolling equal or under. And looks like you succeeded. Is that a critical success? Right off the bat, like a 1?
If you want to run crits, it is a crit.
We'll talk about that later. Not yet. I want everyone to survive the first session. Okay, so the two of you go back and forth. It's like a Robin Hood kind of situation where you're both firing shot after shot. Perfect. And finally, as it looks like, the third shot of your goblin friend as once more found the center, and there's no room left for arrows. Madjac, you take the aim, you fire, and you split his last arrow right down the center and plunge it in. And he looks up at you and he said,
take them. Fine. I shall get the next.
I'll find you in Blackmore when we get back and spot your brew. Better luck next time.
And as the two of you are talking, as you're getting ready to go talk to these people, your conversation is suddenly interrupted as you hear cascading through the air the sounds of a bell ringing, which you would know, Madjac, is usually that's a sign of alarm. And as an able-bodied adult, they're all expected within Thistlehold to respond, right? To go see what this is about in case something is needed, right? And you can see as you pop out into the street, there's some folks that are scurrying off to the west, the south, the east, etc. You can see some who have children or kind of hurrying them back here and there. But you yourself, you just continue to kind of follow. And the last we see of Madjac as we fade out of that moment, crossing the antique plaza as some of these merchants close up their stalls, is we see you heading northward towards the north gate. Now, as we fade out of there, we come back up and we move here and there. We kind of settle in on this sort of run of crafters. And we can see that there are leather workers, there are bowers, there are fletchers, and there are carpenters and various other shops all lined together. We can see much of them built right on top of each other in this section of the city itself. But as we zoom in on one location, this blacksmith shop, we hear a ting, ting, the familiar sound of metal on metal. Now, I should note that this is all happening concurrently. All of your introductions are happening basically concurrently. And we are kind of almost sort of this more entertainment district area. And we can see as we zoom in on the shop, on the smithy, Big Bashers is sort of written in this crude script. And what do we find there, Evan?
So we find the owl, or as those in Thistlehold call him, clad in his old mastercrafted armor, once regaling some sort of symbol on the chest plate. It has now been scarred and repaired over countless battles from countless smiths. Mismatched metals from the repairs have given the armor a distinct pattern like a quilt. A tattered navy cape blows in the wind as the owl stands tall in front of a hot forge. His familiar, small reddish barn owl stands perched on the tip of a massive greatsword that rests upon his master's shoulders. He wears a tiny matching half-cloak with a small golden badge that says Pyre. The sound of metal on metal being smashed in the nearby anvil echoes loudly, but not for the owl. He stands in silence, peering through the small slit in his angular helm. His view is on the lips of what has become a trusted friend, Gira, an apprentice at the Big Basher smithy. She mouths to him that his repair is on the house. The owl nods, but presents a thaler anyways. As he waits for his shoulder pauldron to be repaired with a new colored metal, a boy and girl jump gleefully from the shadows onto the statue-like figure. The owl quickly sheaths his sword behind his neck, down his spine as he plants his feet for the incoming assault from Pilar and Jarek.
As the kids kind of tumble around and almost knock you over. And as your apprentice blacksmith friend kind of tends to their duties, there's the faint sound of like thump, thump. And you can see like the shadow of this ogre smith in the distance, in the far recesses of the workshop as Big Basha himself moves back. And right as it looks like he's about to bellow out something about quit fooling when there's work to be done, that all is interrupted by the sound, it seems, of a bell ringing over and over. One singular bell repeated. And as someone who has lived within Thistlehold all their time, all your life, or not all their life, but at least recently, you know exactly what this means. You can see that your friend has already hustled over in the direction of the children and is going to group them up. And they're like, now, kind of hurrying them off in the direction of where they might stay, or kind of pushing them out of the workshop and such. And we'll say we close on kind of Al stepping out, listening once more as the last of the bell clatters in the distance. We'll move up and away from there, and we will kind of start shifting around once more. And again, all of this is happening at relatively the same time, and we will focus back on the Tower of the Ordo Magica, where we can see once more there are various apprentices and just workers who are tending to the gardens themselves. We can see, as we start zooming in and going inside the tower itself, weaving up the winding stair, various studies and libraries where scholars have settled in, candlelight here and there, windows thrown open as best they can, reading scripts and discoveries, reports of ruins explored by various fortune hunting groups. Where do we end up, Melissa? Who do we see? What are you doing as we are now in the tower?
So you come into this kind of darkened room that's kind of off, kind of at the end of a hallway, and we see a kind of tall, slender woman with brown, curly, long hair, and she's kind of hunched over, and she has this bag in her hand, and she's kind of slowly moving around a room. And in the back corner of the room, in the shadow, you see this older woman standing kind of with her hands in her robes. She occasionally takes one out as she's kind of smoking a pipe. She's got dark skin, darker hair. It's up in a bun. And she's watching very critically all of the kind of steps that are being taken. And you see Rena kind of focusing back. There's this fairly average looking kind of chest plate of armor. It's laying in the center of the room. And Rena has this bag of soil. And she's reaching her hand in the soil, and she's drawing out these runes in this circle around this chest plate. And she finishes, and the whole ritual takes an hour from start to finish. She lays out all the runes. Then she closes up the pouch with the soil, and she starts checking her work, kind of looking at all of the runes. They all seem okay, and she kind of turns around and looks for sort of a nod. Am I ready?
And so, as you turn around, your master, your teacher, have they left yet, or are they still in the room?
Right now, they're still here. She hasn't started chanting yet. She's just checking that the runes are okay.
She approaches, I will say. She sticks the pipe back in her mouth, lets out a full tuft of smoke, which just covers your face, makes your eyes water a bit, and so you can barely even see the work that you've just completed. And she looks down, and she starts chanting a bit here and there, and you can see like going through these words, and like there's this very rhythmic cadence to it, and like she's kind of looking up at you, expecting something from you. Like you can see a look, and you can tell impatience is starting to come over her face.
Yes, Master Euphrinda. Is it my turn to break the link?
Yes, but it is. It's not enough to know the words. You've to match my cadence.
And she's like almost,
Yes,
she takes
Master
out this
Euphrinda.
big heavy hand and she's like smacking you in the back, like trying to get you to understand the cadence, like boom, 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 boom. Try.
And Rowena is kind of very carefully and cautiously repeating the words, repeating the cadence. And she starts, as she kind of goes around the circle, she starts to get a bit more confident as she goes. She continues around the circle, continues her chanting. And after what feels like just far too long, this floral pattern briefly appears on the chest plate, glows bright, and then fades almost as quickly as it appeared. At this, Rowena turns back to the corner, pleased with her first attempt at this new ritual. But the corner of the room is just shadow.
And you don't even smell the smoke, as she seemed to have left quite a long time ago. And so, as we watch Rowena, like a bit of disappointment come over your face, and as you step outside to just wander and clear your head, we see Rowena kind of going through those very gardens that we've looked at a few times. As you step out onto the street, just like the others, your attention is suddenly taken as the sound of a bell somewhere north in the city begins to echo and echo. And whether you realize it or not, you have already started heading northward anyway. You're going in that direction, you're finding the right paths, and it almost seemed ordained in some particular way. And so as we fade out of there, we move around and we can see, like, if you think of it like a camera panning up and out, we just take this violent twist and turn, and we are almost outside of the walls of Thistlehold, somewhere in the outskirts, the palisades, the walls still in sight. And who do we see? What do we find, Kipser, as we take a detour outside?
So zooming out and away from Thistlehold, you do actually land on what is called Blackmoor, which is a large tent city. Those that are rejected from Thistlehold often end up here. And out of one of these tents, a poof of green hair comes out as they have just woken up. You see a sort of following it, a maroon angular cloak, matching boots, dark pants tucked into it. Around their belt on their waist are pouches, and coming out of those you see stuffed with plants and leaves and flowers, and the tinkle of little glass vials precariously balanced on them. And oddly enough, along the arms and face, you see some like dirty wrappings of maybe bandages, but they're not bloody. And stretching, Attolia makes her way towards a woman who can be heard yelling in the distance of her tent. The woman is brandishing a wooden spoon at a man who seems to be trying to sell her some potatoes. Jeff, if you would love to do her voice, go for it.
I don't think that one's good. Like,
How dare you? What are you doing?
holds the wooden spoon up in the air.
Attolia quickly slips up to her mother, Olivia, gives her a quick peck on the cheek, and while she does it, sticks her hand underneath the table to grab some of the bread that Olivia has just made to sell to other people. You don't want me to go hungry now. We probably should have made sure our accents matched, but that's okay.
I know, right? You just did an old lady voice, so I did an old lady voice. Okay.
It's all good. You can do an old lady voice.
She's a smoker, so her accent's
Her accent got
underneath
left
the age.
behind.
Yeah. Okay.
A grand adventure now for a few years, so you got to keep me fed.
Okay. So she looks down at you and is like, yeah, and she starts poking you, like in the shoulder, in the hips, like really, and she takes the wooden spoon and she starts doing it.
Feels like you've been eaten enough.
Yes.
Take
All right,
half,
I'm off.
sell the rest.
I'll sell it in the city on my way. I'm going to see if I can bother Adala for some more spells. But, it brings in some extra money. I'll see you later. And she takes off, not giving her a chance to respond, heads out towards the gate of Blackmoor, which isn't much of a gate.
Nondescript muttering and cursing behind you as you leave.
That's the way of things. And as she leaves sort of this tent city, you see her form shimmer, her arms light up sort of subterraneously with these glowing runes that disappear. And each time they do, her form completely changes. She's a young boy with brown hair. She's an old woman, crippled and bowed. And she settles on sort of a younger woman with long, dark hair, hiding her features, and heads straight towards Thistlehold Gate to try to get in. And she is planning on heading towards the Witch and the Familiar Inn, where the Agdala the Witch often resides.
And so we'll say the last thing we see of you, Attolia, is you're standing there in your new form. You're looking out at sort of the entrance to this inn, and you're in the moss that is like snaking up and around and over these dark timber walls. You can see that there's a spattering of like a barbarian or two that comes and goes. And just as you're about to take a couple steps forward, you're interrupted a bit as the sound of that bell once more, for you for the first time, goes off. And you can see a couple of the barbarians that were kind of lingering around. They kind of look up and at each other, and they shrug, and they start walking off kind of to see what it's about as well. And so there's
Attolia will start heading towards
it. We'll follow in the direction, kind of like lingering behind, almost using them as lead blockers as they start to help part some of the traffic on the street. And so finally, we will once more drift back up. And we will follow some of that crowd northward a bit, though, again, all of this is happening somewhat concurrently. We will return back to the Toad Square. We can see that people are lingering today, and it's not a very safe place. Like, as we stare down one alley, there just happens to be a fight taking place here or there, or down another alley, someone's laying down on the ground, having already lost one, and is trying desperately to bandage up a wound. Someone's chasing after a small child, or maybe it was a goblin, about a stolen purse. And instead, we kind of drift over to this 2-building establishment that, when you get close, you smell meat. Just this ever-present scent of all things fleshy. And there, as we sort of zoom around a bit, we can see these long tables. We can see that there are these folks that are ripping through what looks like servings of various awful, like literal heart, organs, liver, stuffed lung, no finger, no silverware, just ripping and biting. And as we do, who do we find, Jeremy, and what are they doing?
So Gwydion Forrester is coming in, or some of the folks here will call him Iron Eye because of his eye patch with a cold iron tree emblem on it. He's got leathery, dark tan skin. The sides of his head are shaved, long hair pulled back in a ponytail, dark leathers from head to toe, a couple of crow's beaks, which are basically just glorified warhammers with spikes on the back of them, and just this unending scowl on his face, like somebody pissed in his morning gruel. And he doesn't so much walk as he prowls like if a panther could walk on 2 legs. And he's just in a shitty mood because, the city leaders assure us that everybody is respected as a citizen of this town, but somehow those assurances haven't stopped multiple cases of vandalism, like to an inn that's run by a barbarian couple or several other properties in the area. So the tribal leaders, in all their wisdom, have given him the glorious duty of basically being a night watchman in some of those places. And he's goddamn tired, and he's hungry, and all he wants is just get his plate of hash and some turnips and a stuffed lung, and he just wants to sit down and have 5 minutes of peace and quiet. And he gets his food and he sets it on the table, and he doesn't even get a chance to sit down before he can see the shadow of some asshole getting up in his face. What the fuck do you want?
Just gonna tell you that the turnips have gone bad. I wouldn't eat that if I were you. You're gonna be in the corner with the others.
And you look over, and there's like 4 or 5 guys in the corner, all towards the end of this long table, just retching in the corner.
Fine.
And the hash, too, is tainted. You might want to toss that as well. You know, why don't I just take it from you? We wouldn't want you
do something to
sick
drink.
now. Do we? Yeah, I suppose. You don't look like you can afford it, though.
Fine. Just have a wonderful day, sir. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you get up and start moving away, you look over your shoulder, and he literally sits down exactly where you just were and just starts eating your food. Maybe as a bit of anger and rage, maybe Gwydion almost breaks, and that's when you hear it more loudly than anyone else, because you are right near it, as you are in Toad Square, fairly north, and you are right in the shadow of the north gate, and you can hear it, and it almost shakes the walls a bit, and there's plenty of folks who are in here. It's like, cut the racket down. But Gwydion, you poke your head outside. You look at the square itself. Many folks have started to shift and move. Some people have gone back to their homes, not caring, not following proper procedure, so to speak. Others have started to move. And one by one, we're going to say, all of you, probably starting with Gwydion, as you are the closest, we shift and we start to see that a crowd has begun to form as we have pushed a little bit away from that Toad Square, and just a couple, maybe 100 or so paces just north of that, we can see the palisade. We can see what looks like town guards that have started to mingle and such. And one by one, all of you begin to arrive. Like I said, Gwydion, are you fairly tall? Are you a fairly tall man?
Yeah, he's a pretty big guy. Like, he's not necessarily like huge and robust, but he stands probably a half head taller than some of the folks here.
And so you probably have a little bit easier view as you look down, and you can see that the town guards are kind of struggling to keep like this crowd of people organized, as there's a big crowd and people are asking, like, what's this all about? Yeah, I was busy. What's going on? What's happening here? Enough of the false alarms. I'm running a business back here. And you just see the crowd starting to get a little unnerved. And as you start eyeing around, you start to notice some familiar faces, Gwydion. As you see, kind of coming up from the south, Rowena in her familiar cloak of the Ordo Magica. You see Madjac, you see Owl. Like, at various different parts, you all begin to spot each other. Attolia might be the tricky one, as you are in a different shape, but is your shape familiar to this group, as you all have a history together? So is your shape familiar to everybody?
Yeah, they're the people that I would be able to shift into are people that you've met. So there's like a set of them, and you probably recognize her.
So as you all eventually get up towards the north side of Toad Square, in the shadow of the northern palisade here, you're not the only ones. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of folk all pushing around. These walls, these gates are 30 feet tall, and no one can see. The gates aren't open. They're completely closed. They're barred. You can see a figure that you all would know as Captain Marvello, who is one of the guard captains of the town watch, the town guards. And he's trying to bark orders here and there, and you can see he's trying to get his guard folk, his guardsmen, to keep people away from the gate. The only ones they seem to be letting through are Queen's Rangers. And once or twice, like Captain Marvello, and leads one of the Rangers over to what looks like a little viewport in one of the gates, opens it up, and they kind of look out, and you can see they have this quiet exchange. Now, Gwydion, you're probably easiest to see this because of your height, but the rest of you, everything is just a big crowd, and no one really knows what's happening. Rumors are kind of starting to swirl. You can even see people are trying to climb kind of up the palisade itself to get to like this upper kind of archer spot, and they're kind of being pushed down by the town guard. You see others who are trying to climb up onto the roofs of nearby buildings, and some are being more or less successful. Others are falling, and people turn and laugh and such. And there's just kind of this general sense of kind of anxiousness and unease, a little bit of disarray as something is happening beyond the gates, and no one quite knows what. And no one can really see. So what do you guys do as we'll say you start to find each other at this point?
Iron Eye, what do you see out there?
Just a bunch of assholes pushing into each other. I don't know.
So are we thinking there's thalers to be made out of this problem today, or are we just pulling our pud?
I would go for some fucking money. I don't know. Something weird. Probably. You always find money. I don't know how.
You gotta hustle, friend. You gotta hustle.
I do a lot of hustling, and I don't make a lot of money.
You gotta hustle better.
Sure. Yeah. I know. Pick yourself up by the bootstraps, right? Got it.
Hey, Iron Eye, if I keep talking, is the top of your head going to blow right off? Because that's one of my favorite things to see.
No.
At this, Rowena is kind of looking around, and Attolia comes up, and you can tell this is sort of a thing of just sort of like looking and just checking to see like, okay, this is you now. Good. So you just sort of see that kind of nod of like, okay, I see who we've got this time.
Yes, I just went with someone indiscreet. How much do you want to bet that they go to blows? We could make a bit of coin off each other.
Well, that we could, but I think whatever's going on out there, I think we could be useful. Yes, we can be useful. And she's like looking around and seeing if she sees the owl.
I don't see him either yet, but I could probably go through the gate, get up on top, and throw a rope down if we really needed it.
Oh, that could certainly be useful.
Well, let's make sure everyone is on board and we're all at the same idea set before we implement something.
And Rowena sort of
you
has
that
her.
You can't. So the gate itself is barred and closed, and there's about 24 guards and Queen's Rangers that are standing in front of it. So,
okay. I thought the Queen's Rangers were still getting allowed in.
Oh no, they're being allowed up through the crowd, and so they're inside the gate. So for something's going on the outsides of the gates, and like they're on the like right on the inside, and they're trying, like you can see that they're discussing something here and there. But the gates are in fact closed now, which isn't to say you guys can't try to do stuff. It's just unlikely that you're just going to be able to walk right out. So
never mind, idea one. Not so good.
Does anyone here have acrobatics? I think there might be one or two people here who have acrobatics as a trait. Okay, no one. Also, Gwydion, you're a fairly strong man, I think, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and give us a strong test.
Okay.
Or actually, is your strong over 13? What is your strong at, actually?
15.
Okay. You don't even make the roll. It's fine. So I'll say you're big enough at this point and tall enough that you're able to kind of just get the initial levels of the crowd out of your way, and you create this.
Stop your lollygagging and get out of my way, you little shit.
Who the f do you think? After you, sir.
As he looks up and how big you are, and he's a tiny little bald man. So you kind of push up, but you do hear like kind of people like cursing you as you pass. So ultimately, you can't really see anything. Who does anyone want to try anything to try to either climb up something or try to kind of sneak up and peek through the pillars of the wall? Anything like that?
Yeah, I would say Rowena will try. So she's sort of like, she's kind of got the pole arm and she's just trying to use it to kind of hoist herself and kind of like do a bit of jumping with it to see if she can kind of get a little air.
It's a 30-foot tall wall. You have to climb something.
But I'm
really
imagining
tall
that there's
pole arm.
There's a little bit higher up. There was like some damage. into no. That is
And a helicopter crashes. Oh, goodness.
right. But
Aaron,
there
you
is some
just
like
cursed
damage
this.
that had been done in the wall, like a little bit higher up. So she's kind of trying to get to kind of like a crack in, kind of some old damage.
I'll tell you what. Give me a vigilance roll to see if you can kind of find such a spot along the way, and see how that goes.
No. For me, I'm trying to do something that involves me having a little bit of height, so that's a fail.
You find yourself kind of pushing, and you get up fairly close, and one of the guards just kind of grabs you by the shoulder and just says, back with you. We'll call you if we need you. Get back, Aldo. And just kind of like respectfully, as they kind of try to like usher you back away from the gate. Okay. So as you all are, yeah, go ahead.
Can I throw on a noticeable and just like sneak a peek so I can scout back to the team what's there?
Sure. You just like kind of get to the edge of the wall and just kind of peek through, see if you can just kind of sneak up in that way. Yeah.
Yes.
Walk us through unnoticeable. What is that?
So unnoticeable is a resolute versus resolute, so not their vigilance test that allows a mystic to fade from one creature's perception, assuming I roll well, and not like Melissa.
Okay.
Sorry.
Fair.
So let me check to see if this was. Would you roll an 11?
An 11.
Would that have been a success for you? Let me see.
Yes, my resolute is 15.
Oh yeah.
I'm just checking
my
to make
highest.
sure. Yeah, their resolute would have been +1 anyway, so you would have been fine. Okay, so yeah, you are able to, as this one guard is kind of putting the hand out towards Reyna, and then once he realizes his hand is touching one of these Ordo Magica cloaks, his tone changes from kind of gruff to like respectful, but still get the hell away. We see like this little shadow just move behind Reyna, and he doesn't notice it. And you get right up to the wall, the outer wall of this. It's not where the guard captain and some of the others are huddled inside the immediate gate, but you find this little kind of nook or cranny, just a little seam, and you're able to look out. And there's 100 to 200 paces or so between the wall itself and what looks like the forest edge. And as you're looking out there, Attolia, you can you can't see anything in the immediate area. You can't see like anything in the kind of the flat, empty ground on the complete opposite side of the wall. But as you look towards the forest edge, you do notice that the trees themselves are shifting and moving in a way that doesn't seem to coincide with the wind. Like you can see like suddenly a tree begins to tilt a little bit to the east. Another kind of to its side tilts a little bit to the west. And as this wave seems to get closer, you start to hear these sounds of like creaking and crashing. And you hear these heavy thuds on the ground as pushing through the edge of the forest, about, again, 200 paces away, you can see what looks like 2 colossi, each of them about 3 to 4 men in height. So like, somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 25 feet in that big range. There's these enormous kind of oxen-like creatures in some ways, at least like with the face and the shoulders. But then as their bodies continue to move, you notice that they're not so much flesh, but this kind of like mix of wood and plant and fiber as they start lumbering towards the gates. And the ground shakes with each thud. And some of the forest saplings and stuff bend, a few snap, a bough or a tree kind of falls as well. And then you see standing atop them, Attolia, you see on top of each colossi, there is a person, which you would very easily recognize as a barbarian witch. You can tell by the mask, you can tell by the colorful clothing, and they are standing atop the creatures. And you can hear some of the guards that are looking out through their little viewing ports that are starting to be like, brazen witches, if it's a fight, they won't. And then you can see also and hear as Captain Marvella just kind of smacks the man on the back of the head. He's like, silence, fools. They wanted to fight, they wouldn't have stopped where they're at. And you can see he's not wrong, as about 50 paces out from the gate, the Colossi and the witches have literally stopped and are just waiting, staring at the gates right now. And as this happens, you're not the only person who had this idea. There's other people who are shouting out. They're like, witches, barbarian, Colossi! And everyone starts panicking a bit. And you can see that the guards are starting to struggle some more. Anyone doing anything yet? As this is all Attolia that have seen this, but the rest of you are starting to hear the rumors of what was seen.
I'm definitely going to be pushing back to inform them of more details than just people's panic screaming.
Yeah. And so
Madjac would be putting a wall to his back, one of the buildings or something, just backing up so that if the crowd completely breaks, he's not going to get run down.
Okay.
Look around. If people are getting freaked out about barbarians and witches, look for some assholes that are yelling that in the crowd. Look and see if there's any barbarian family members nearby that are going to get mobbed because people are stupid.
Yeah, you do look around, and there's definitely more than one glance coming in your direction. And like you can kind of almost read their lips as they're whispering to one of their others. It's like, it's now, isn't it? They've been praying it the whole time. They've planted the seeds and sowed, and now they've come to take root. Look at that one, staring at me with his big dumb face. He's part of it, I'm sure.
Gwydian's been mouthing curse words to them.
He does. He just stares him right back and mouths curse words at him.
Okay. Is Al doing anything?
Yeah, I think the owl is just pushing through the crowd. I mean, the owl's kind of like a known figure, so people would kind of move if they know he's coming.
Sure.
So he will go to the captain, and you see, I guess, from the owl's point of view, we see his eyes just look at the captain's lips, as the owl can't hear. So he's just he hears the vibrations and feels something loud, but the owl doesn't hear all the commotion and everything happening. So he's just going directly to the captain and looking at their lips to see what they say is going on.
And so you can see as it's getting much louder in here, which doesn't affect you, but it affects like everybody else. Is getting louder. People are shouting. And then you just hear and you see it, Al, as like Captain Marvella just bellows like, silence, you fools! Let me think. And he's like looking around. And he kind of pats you like almost absent-mindedly on the shoulder, Al. We shall send a delegation. They clearly don't want to attack. They want to talk. We can, yes. And he, who here speaks the barbarian tongue? And he's like looking around, and this big weed of a head sticking out of the crowd as he looks at Gwydian's face. You! Step forward! Are you learned the ways of diplomacy? Diplomacy.
I know the fucking word. You want me to go talk to these people? I'll go fucking talk to them.
Not alone, we're sending others, the Queen's guard, some of our retinue, yes. Where was that Ordo? Ordo!
And he kind of points down towards Reyna, who's like, yes. Oh,
yes.
And
yes, if you kept with your studies, you know these things, the runes and such, and
I will be useful. I will be useful. Yes. And she sort of makes an eye over to Madjac, because I think she was kind of putting her back up against the same wall as he was. And then she just kind of like elbows him forward.
He nods and starts sauntering up with Rowena.
Okay. Reyna and Gwydian, go ahead and both make persuasive tests, but you can get a +5 on your rolls.
Okay.
As you come up.
It's persuasive, and then in the modifier, just put in a 5.
Add in +5, yeah. Okay. So basically, that's how this game works. You're trying to roll equal or under, so whenever I say plus something, that's good for them. Whenever I say minus something, that's bad for them.
That's good, because that got me up to a 10.
Okay.
Because I have a 5 persuade.
Okay. So both of you passed?
Succeeded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So both of you passed. Fantastic. With a singular margin. One margin. They're like, oh, yes. Okay, yes. All right. Now,
Barbarian, listen. You do what I say. You translate what I say and nothing different, yes? And
Yes.
although you do what you do, any information that you think is necessary, I expect you to convey it. No one is to speak but me or the barbarian, or I mean, if you have something interesting to say and something important, certainly say it, but I am the focal point of the conversation. Is that understood?
Of course.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
Okay, and he takes like a big, and he's like, all right, open the gates. And you can see like a couple of the town guards are just looking at him like, okay. And they start opening the gates. You see they slowly open up. And as they do, you have even clearer and better view. And so for some of you, like Attolia is the only one who saw it. Now the rest of you see these colossi in full view. And they are massive. They are enormous. It's possible you might have seen these before. I don't think this is something that you guys are unaware of completely. Whether or not you've had any specific dealings with them other than story or rumor, we can sort that out later. But it's not the type of thing where you've never encountered such a concept, right? And so Captain Morvello begins to lead everybody out. You can see there's a group of the guards that come with him. One or two of these Queen's Rangers. Madjac, you follow Verena almost like a bodyguard. Owl, you kind of just got swept up. He just sort of patted you on the shoulder in some way, and so you're just kind of there.
Owl's a power move, yes.
Yeah, it was totally a power move. He's like, yes, you. And then Attolia.
Attolia will just like appear as her friends are leaving the gate and just go one finger salute. Good idea.
Okay. So you all proceed out. I have some art to share actually, if you all want to see.
Yes.
Those of you, not with the stream, but with the rest of you. Because I don't have that ready.
We just
yet. We'll
taunt.
get there at some point.
We just taunt for
join the Discord. Join the Discord. I'll show it there later.
Yeah, we'll put it up in the Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kipser already dropped her art in the Discord.
Okay. So as you approach, they are these massive colossi. You could see like they're it's like half flesh, half wood, plant fiber, things like that. And they have these little patches of armor and such here. And you can see that there's these ropes and there's these lines coming down, wrapped around horns and kind of wrapped around what looks like mouths that kind of help them steer. And they effectively, these witches are riding them as you all might ride, like a horse or something like that. As you get close, the captain comes up to you, Gwyn, and kind of grabs you by the arm, and kind of right on the bicep. Is, oh, what? And then he says, extend a welcome. And then right as you're about to talk, he like grabs your arm again. Make it courteous. And he lets go.
Yeah.
So
He's kind of waiting.
in barbarian, and the guy can understand it. What did you say?
And he stops you again. But not too courteous.
So Gwydion will keep a perfectly straight face and just say, "Why the fuck are you here?"
Okay. So you can see that
He's got 5 persuasive.
these witches exchange a look at each other, and you can tell like they're wearing masks, but you could tell from just like the way their heads tilt. It's like, what did this guy just say? What did he just say?
And then he'll do like a little flourish as if he's pretending he's being polite. Everybody's freaked out. Why are you here?
So one of them speaks up. He's like, I am Gedramon, and only you would be able to know. Actually, Attolia would probably as well. I think you probably would. The rest of you probably don't fully understand. Maybe garbled bits here and there. But he's like, I am Gedramon. I've been sent by Yeleta, the Huldra of Karvosti. And he kind of pauses. Introduce me.
I will. I'll turn around and I will literally translate what they say.
Okay. So, Lore Master. Who is the Lore Master? I think, Rowena, you have Lore Master, right?
Yes,
Okay.
I do.
So you would know this, and I would say our barbarian friend Gwydion and Attolia as well, that you would obviously, to some degree, all of you might recognize that what Holdra is. It's a title, right? It's like the leader of witches, right? But Rowena, you are perhaps a touch more studied. You read various reports, not just of those from fortune hunters, but from those collected by various Ordo Magica scholars that have embedded themselves within different clans and groups and such. And I would say, no role necessary, you would know the name Gadramon. Like, that is a name that you probably have heard from various testimonies. He's apparently, at least if it's the same Gadramon, there's no reason to say it is or it isn't, is one of the Holdra's closest advisors, closest friends. And he's like, okay, did you ask them why they have come? Now, come on. Well, wouldn't that not be the first thing you asked them? And did you extend the courtesy?
I was courteous. He wanted to introduce himself because, you're so important. So, I was just being nice.
I am but
he wants to know why the fuck you're
Captain.
here.
Okay. And so Gadramon, again, looks over to this other witch, and they just kind of shake their head. And then they look back down at you, Gwydion. And he says to you, "Has the well spoken?"
Has the well spoken?
And he doesn't repeat the question.
I'll turn around. They asked, has the well spoken?
No one understands, I would say, not in any particular way. However, if anybody wants to, let's say, roll a cunning test, roll a cunning test if you would like, to see if there's maybe something you could
Modifiers?
piece together. No, we just roll flat.
Rowena rolled a 1 on her cunning.
Oh man, that's another 1 I think I just saw. Or maybe not. Okay.
I also rolled a 1, yes.
Oh, perfect. The well, you have no idea what he's specifically referring to, but I would say the two of you know that, well, I mean, there's wells many places, but there's also the bronze well, like in the Antique Plaza. Like, it is a sort of a fixture. The merchants and peddlers and stuff set up their stalls around it, and it's supposed to, it's like a landmark basically. So you'd probably have that kind of thing. But as you are maybe whispering or exchanging that, the Gadramon, well, barbarian, what did they say?
They asked if the well.
And Rowena's just sort of whispering, like, the copper well hasn't done anything that we know of.
Not that I know either.
Something Copperwell. I'll say that back to them. You fine with that?
So so you can just see Gadramon just sort of shaking his head, and as you guys are whispering and talking, and he just says, and again, Gwydion, you would hear this: "No answer is answer enough." And then you can see that he shifts his weight, and as he does so, the Colossus shifts that he's riding shifts, and then so does the other, and they kind of seem to be in this slow process of kind of turning. And before he fully turns, he says to you, Gwydion, as it looks like they're kind of retreating from this, he's like, "We are here to lend assistance. The Holdra fears the very potent source of corruption dwells at the heart of your..." And like, he pauses, and then he actually kind of says it more in like Ambrian kind of inflection. "City, this thistle hold." And then you can see they start kind of like shuffling around a bit. "More I cannot say. Time is short. We must come inside."
So they're here to lend assistance because they think there's some sort of deep corruption somewhere here in the city. Of course, they've got to be vague. It's all fucking get out. I don't know more.
So Captain Marvella, who you can tell is like kind of dabbing his forehead a little bit as he's been sweating a lot. And every now and then, Gwydion, you just feel like him kind of grab your arm, like he's going to say something to you, but then lets go, and then says something. We cannot offer passage. No, not without the express permission of Mayor Night Pitch, which he will not give under such, as you say, vague circumstances.
Yeah. Those things are really fucking big, and right now they're being nice.
Tell them to provide more information. Come, are you a translator or not?
Of course I am. Proudly. This jackass doesn't want to let people through until he understands better, and you're probably not going to tell us anymore, and I get to be the asshole stuck between the both of you. Do you have anything else I can share, please?
He like stares at you and he says, time is short. And that's it. Like you're like waiting for more and he just stops there.
Get this. He just dropped something huge on me. Time is short. I don't know. I don't fucking hang out with witches and those things. I work here.
Okay.
Actually.
Everyone turns. You're a witch, huh? Interesting. Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm so tired.
We're very sorry to inconvenience you in your lethargy, but our serious matters. Tell them, under no uncertain terms, can we provide passage? I will seek out permission from the mayor on their behalf.
This asshole needs to go talk to a bigger asshole to get permission to let you in.
And he continues to sort of turn the Colossus at that point, and he just looks back over his shoulder. Then we will wait the forest edge. You should get the
Thank
permission.
you.
And then
They agree to wait at the forest edge.
Okay, yes. Well done. And smacks you on the back. And then
Thank you.
starts, okay, back inside the city. Everyone, now, go.
And Rowena just sort of turns to Gideon and just says, You appear to have had quite the day. My word, you are sometimes a bit on the grouchy side, but wow, this is...
I haven't slept much this week, so I should, honestly, maybe I should just follow what Madjac does at some point, because working for family gets you nowhere, and you're constantly doing favors for people, and it's helping people out, and it's great.
I am certainly glad that that did not go worse than it did. Let's get you back inside.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
A quick note, though. I would like to go see that copper well.
Bronze well?
You all have probably passed it in your travels 100 times more. Like it's right there in the middle of the antique plaza, so you know exactly where it would be at.
Yeah, let's go talk to a well. That sounds smashing.
Okay, so do you all go back inside? Are we staying together? Is anyone splitting off? Okay.
Yeah.
So you come back inside. They immediately close the gates, and you can see Marvello starts like debriefing some of the rangers and orders this way and that. Kind of gets his sergeant rooms. No one in or out. I don't care what they say. I don't know who they are. No one. No. And he's like, I will go see Man Night Pitch and beseech him for guidance until I return. You are in charge. He kind of points to like some random guard. And he's like, what, me? I'm in charge. And then you can see he starts wandering off. The crowd has kind of thinned a little bit, but it's still fairly big. It's instead of there being, hundreds of people, there's probably like 100 people or so kind of pushed in up against this area just north of Toad Square. As you all are walking, and as you see Captain Marvello, you hear the close of the gates, you hear people starting to mill about, and all that begins to happen. You all start to feel something. You feel the ground begin to shake a bit. You feel this quaking, and you look around and you can see like there's like little bits of like dirt and dust kind of falling down from some eaves here and there on windows, and you can see a roofing tile and some thatch kind of tumble off and just fall down, and everything begins to rumble. And you can see people are starting to get worried a little bit. And then there's this kind of cascade of almost sounds like crackling and this huge boom that just erupts and radiates through the entire crowd. And all of you not just feel it physically on the ground, but you feel this sonic boom effectively just push through you, and you all go kind of flying this way and that. You see the crowd, half of them fall to the ground, smash into each other, smash into the walls themselves. You can see the glass from some windows completely shatters and blows free. You can see what looked once before like just a handful of thatch kind of falling off. The whole roof flies off to the side. People are around you. They're screaming in pain. I need everyone to test strong, please. Regular strong.
No.
Oh no, that is a fail for Rowena.
All right.
Really?
Okay. So it looks like, is it Kipser, did Attolia fail? All right.
Attolia failed. Really failed.
Okay. Both of you roll a d4.
Oh.
The rest of
That's
you.
2.
Okay. Both of you take that much damage as your eardrum, and for a moment you can't hear anything. Your eyes and your nose begins to just blood starts to pour out of the just the inside of your lids, coming out of your ears, coming out of your nose. The two of you fall to the ground, and the earth is still kind of shaking a bit. Others around in the area are in the exact same state, covered in dust here and there, as like this wave of dust and dirt just whoosh washes over you all. Al, Gwydion, Madjac, all of you, you manage to either kind of just contort yourself, or you just are thick enough or strong enough in some way to just resist it, but you nonetheless feel like this surge of pain wash through. You can see a couple people in the area are in even worse states than Rowena and Attolia, as they are just almost vomiting, coughing up blood on the ground. And let's say the three of you who didn't actually suffer any damage, the three of you go ahead and roll vigilant, excuse me. And just let me know.
Nope.
No modifier necessary.
Nat 20.
Oh
Nice.
no.
I
It's the
succeeded.
worst.
Just one eye, I mean,
Okay.
Old iron eye.
Depth perception.
Yeah. Maybe Al and Gwydion are helping people up, or helping up Arena or Attolia, and they don't notice it. But Madjac, you're the first to see it, and obviously you can tell them pretty quickly. But you see to the south, further into the city, you can see that there is this massive dust cloud that is just kind of erupt upward. It's not like mushroom cloud style, but you can see there's this very thick, to the point where you can't see the sky, as if something just a few blocks away within the city is just erupting up and creating this huge dust cloud above. As all these screams and shouts are happening around you, as people are in pain, there's people rolling around. Attolia, Rowena, you have just momentary deafness where you just can't hear anything, and people are shouting, "Are you okay?" And other people are like, "Are you okay?" And you just can't hear anything. You can't hear anything. So what are you guys doing at this point? As it seems something has happened further south into the city.
By Prios's puckered anus, I should have left for Kavasi last week. Whatever the hell is going on in this town, it looks like it's that way. Owl?
He's already moving towards the dust. Sword drawn, heavy pauldrons
Okay.
just clinking in the...
Madjac's moving in his wake. He's got his bow. He's got an arrow knocked to his bow, but the string's not drawn. He
Okay.
looks back to see if old Iron Eye's following
fine.
behind.
I'll draw weapons too. Let's just go walking straight at the puckered anus. Perfect.
What about Rowena and Attolia? Will say that the other two a couple of them have helped you up, dusted you off. You're still having this horrible ringing in your ears. You can wipe away the blood from your eyes, your nose, your ears, like all of it's kind of, your senses are starting to come back to you, but you still feel a bit of pain. But you see the rest of your friends, the people that you know, the people that you have survived the forest with before, you can see them marching off with quickened pace. In the direction of which you now see, as you look in the sky, a massive dust cloud over top of the city of Thistlehold. What do the two of you do?
Fucking hell! What puckered anus is? What are they talking about? I can't hear very well.
I don't know what they're talking about. But if that's the well speaking,
that hurts. Yeah. That fucking hurts. Why is the well speaking like that? That's not fun.
And Rowena's kind of like, she's got her kind of pole arm off of her back and she's just sort of like standing up with it and is just like kind of takes a deep breath and makes sure that Attolia is up and to the well.
Aye. And as Attolia is wiping dirt, as her hand crosses over, the arms light up again a little bit and she just looks like herself. Like, Madjac and Gwydion, hold on. We're coming. Let's hobble over.
And so Al leading, Madjac, Gwydion a step or two behind, and then Rowena and Attolia coming up behind them. You start running further into the city. And as you do, the air starts to become thicker and thicker. And you can see that there's all this lingering dust. You can hear the sounds of people screaming. Some you can see running at you and like they're carrying like a friend or a child or like a goat or something of value as they start running away. Much like Attolia and Rowena, you can see their eyes are bleeding, their nose is bleeding, blood coming out of their ears, and they're just screaming and screaming. All of them just covered in this immense dust. You push further and further in, you can see that it's getting worse and worse. And there are some that are limping away, others that are on the ground trying to apply pressure to these open wounds. You can see some that are starting now to just push past and over each other, like they're a crowd might do when they start to panic, as like one person stumbles and then two or three people just step on top of them and run and run. And all of this seems to continue to lead you further and further down the promenade, one of the streets, one of the blocks. And as you start to, those of you with fairly high vigilance, as your eyes are trying to see through this thick dust, you get the sense something is missing. Something is not quite right. You're all very familiar with the city, the skyline, the shapes, the what the blocks look like as you pass down the main thoroughfares, and just something seems different. Something seems wrong. Many of the buildings that you've passed have suffered damage, not just blown out windows, but you can see some of the structure has collapsed. Roofs have caved in on each other. A door has been blown off. And all of these people, as they run past you, they're babbling and pleading. You hear prayers to Prios. They're talking about beasts of the underworld. They're talking about the entirety of the underworld coming up to grab them. Anybody who would like roll a vigilant. Actually, everyone can roll a vigilant. You can all do it. It's fine. As you look around, and again, everything's thick with like the dust is just becoming. It's not so much like you guys. It's a darkness issue. It's just the thickness of the air with all this dust and rubble, and you can feel that the ground itself is no longer flat, and you're going up and over these piles of rubble in the ground. I got a fail from Gwydion, a pass from Attolia and Rowena and Madjac. Mm-hmm. You see, how'd you do, Al? Did you roll?
Fail.
Okay. So those of you who passed, you notice that it's not just folks, Thistlehold residents that are running from each other. It's not just like them that are kind of pushing and shoving to get their way through and out of an alleyway or out of the building that's beginning to fold and kind of collapse in. You can see that there's other shapes now among these Thistlehold residents. You can see these kind of raging looking creatures, kind of covered in black, deformed, clearly corrupted. Like they're barely humanoid, but humanoid nonetheless. You can see their forearms have been kind of replaced or mouse-shaped to create blades or clubs and spikes coming out of various sections of their bodies. You can see a few have horns growing out of their skulls, and even the bone itself is actually showing in some cases. around you as you push into what looks like this confluence of 2 blocks in the main promenade. You can see that from a distance, there's like a pair of elderly folk that are surrounded by a few of these monsters. One of them, the woman, kind of gets caught and dragged away, and you see her just disappear down an alleyway deeper and further towards the dust cloud. The man gets tackled down by one of these monsters, and just they start stabbing away with the forearm that is now a blade. You can see down one of these other alleys, there's these 2 beasts that have started to close in on what you think is probably an Ambrian woman holding a broomstick and just sort of swatting it left and right, like in somewhat ineffectual state, standing over another woman, elderly, probably a mother, who is kind of falling to the ground. You can see probably her husband nearby is trying to get her up, but these 4 children are just kind of clinging to his legs and his arms, and he just can't quite do it as these 2 creatures kind of close in. And then one of this other confluence of alleys, these three little streets that kind of come together. You can see a man stagger out, and he comes running he's not running so much as he's just moving quickly, and you can tell that he has suffered some kind of injury. And right behind him, right on his tail, you can see that there are 2 more of these beasts chasing him. And so let's go into our first combat, as that is what you see. Okay. It's gonna be fun.
Gosh. Yes.
Okay. All right. So there are in total, there are 5 that you see. 1 is attacking the elderly man who's, you presume his wife was just dragged away. 2 seem to be trying to attack the Ambrian woman holding the broomstick and the man who has the 4 kids. And 2 more are chasing after another kind of middle-aged man who just burst out of an alleyway and is running directly at the 5 of you. So let's go ahead and let's get some tokens on the board so that we can make this a little bit easier to track. And we'll put ourselves into initiative as well. And I'm going to assume, since all of you have already said like you were kind of ready, I'll say all of you have your weapons ready. You don't have to worry about that at all.
Yep.
So let me get this all set up. All right, so I'm going to say the one that's attacking the older man is the furthest away, is basically essentially 2 movements. So movement in this game is the equivalent of like 10 paces, we'll say. And so that's the furthest away. The closest to you is the middle-aged man who just burst out of the alley and is actually running towards you. And then the one that's kind of in the sort of a middle grounded area is the 2 that are closing in on the family. So we'll say, just for us, because I know, just so we're keeping track, on the right, those beasts I put on the right, those are the closest. The one in the middle, those are in the middle, and the one furthest to the left is the one that's farthest away. Okay? Sound good?
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Here we go.
Here we go. I'm excited. All right. So, I can do it all if we want to just do it fast. I can do the roll. So, Madjac, you definitely will be going first. Gwydion, you'll be going second. All of the beasts will be going after the 2 of you. Then Al, then Kipser. Oh, I'm sorry. Then Attolia. You got to do something about your token. And then
I don't know why it's bad.
Raina, who has to go do something else. She was busy. She has something else to do. So. Since this is our first combat, Evan's going to help us out, obviously. But on a turn, you get a combat action, you get a movement action, you get an unlimited number of reactions. Obviously, they need to be triggered and such, and you get unlimited free actions and such, which is talking and giving orders. But in some cases, like Attolia, with like ongoing effects and things like that, maintaining them and such. Combat actions are pretty obvious, things like attacking, applying first aid, using like elixirs on other people. Movement actions, we're going to play it more theater of the mind. Like I said, you've got one that's 2 movements away, the other 2 you can probably reach. And so also drawing and switching your weapons, reloading weapons if any of you have items that need to be reloaded, or using items or elixirs and things like that. And so that's where we're at. In terms of movements, remember that flanking is very useful in this game, but it does require a special like use of a movement action to flank with an existing, with an ally and such. So like teamwork and kind of coordination was probably going to benefit you. So, Madjac, there's a man running at you, being chased by 2 of these creatures. Behind, not so much behind him, but down a slightly separate alleyway, you can see that there's a family being closed in on by these 2 beasts. and then there's an elderly man whose wife was just dragged away, who is now being stabbed by one of these beasts directly. What does Madjac do?
The two who are running towards us, are they going to get to us in this turn, or is it going to take them more than one movement action to get to where we're at?
Yeah, only the one that's stabbing the man is probably more than a movement action away from you guys. Okay. So the rest of them are close enough.
He takes one step to the right, pulls, and fires at one of the two that are chasing the man towards us. And with the intent of, if he hits him and does damage, of pinning him in place.
Nice.
Okay. And I taught you guys how to do the targeting thing. The other one. If you're doing the one that's the man's being chased, it's the one on the right.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry. Either one of those. Okay. So again, you can go ahead and just target them, use their defense from the drop-down menu, and that should automatically do stuff for you. And you used your movement action to get line of sight effectively. So movement action to get line of sight, and then you fire. Go for it, man. First attack. Of course it's Aaron.
9 damage. 9 damage.
Okay. 9 damage is enough to clear its threshold, but not enough to kill it. So as you get a choice, you can either do the knockdown. That's one option, or you can do a free action. Can you do a free action with range attacks, Evan? Is that okay? Can you fire a second arrow?
I don't believe you can, because I think you have to load your arrow.
Okay. All right. So then do you want to do knockdown then?
Yeah, knockdown. And with my marksman rank 2, since I did damage, if he tries to move, I get to do a vigilance versus strong check. And if he doesn't, if it comes out in my favor, he cannot move.
Okay, perfect. All right. Remind me of that if his turn comes up, if he makes it. All right. So next up is Gwydion. It is your turn. You can see Madjac has just put an arrow into one of them. Step to the side, nearly hit the guy who's like, "Oh, careful!" And you can see there's 2 more of these that are still chasing down. One of them now is, you can see, noticeably slower and almost kind of pinned to the ground a bit, but they're still within relatively close distance of you. 2 more down the other alleyway attacking the family, and 1 more in the far distance stabbing an old man. What do you do?
Well, I'll still clank around the heavy armor, so I'm not too worried about the ones closing in on where we are now. There's kids. Gwydion's going to run in that direction. So I will hover with that. All
right. And since I'm treating this as they're kind of in 2 separate areas, you're not trying to run past them, so they wouldn't get a free attack. You're kind of running to literally a different target, different area. As you see Gwydion running over, the woman's swinging away with this broomstick handle. The man is trying to help the old woman up, and she's like, "Ah!" And the kids are just weighing him down, screaming. They're like, "Dad!" Ah! As Gwydion, you come running out and bursting through the dust. All right, man.
All right, we'll do the main head attack first.
Again, you can target it directly if you want to use the system for now, or if you just want to roll, let me know. I can give you the modifier.
It should be targeted, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I can see your little dot.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll do that, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
And for future reference, a bow is a free action to load, so probably could do either, I think. But crossbow takes a movement action to load.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for looking that up.
My first one will hit and do 7 damage.
Okay. So, all right. So we've got. Let me keep track of these. I realized I probably should have kept track of these somehow, right? I have the whole faction thing. I still prefer tracking health on paper. I don't know why. I still just totally prefer to do it.
Whatever works.
So 7 damage, you said? They don't have any armor, so all of that'll go through.
Okay.
So describe what it looks. You didn't kill him, but describe what it looks as you come.
Okay.
As you come trying to save this family.
And it doesn't breach their threshold or anything.
I'm sorry. Yes, it does. 7 damage is enough to actually breach its threshold. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. So basically,
5, I think, is the threshold.
It comes in and it hits, and he turns it around, uses the spiky end of the hammer, jams it into what basically be this area, yanks them down, and then brings the hammer down onto the top of their head.
Okay. You take your free attack. Okay. So you hit it once, and then go in for the second swing.
Nice.
Oh, there you go.
I'll do 15 damage with that one and just brain him.
Describe your kill there, Gwydion.
It is. It's just he comes in, hooks it first flings it to the ground, brings the hammer, flips it around, and just shatters its face. And I don't know what this thing's blood is like, but it sprays all over that family. All those little bastards trying to climb on the dead. Woody knows how much he hates that.
Okay.
He gets all the gore over those stupid little kids' faces.
Okay.
And then there's still his offhand.
Okay. So you don't have any targets, though, available.
Oh, I thought there were two over there. I misunderstood.
Yeah, but you have to move. So, like, you moved into melee with the one to attack one. You didn't necessarily move into melee with the other.
Well, then, just for good measure, because he doesn't know what it is, he'll just put another hammer into its chest. Just in case, like, it's one of those things you got to get the heart. He doesn't know. He just...
Gotcha. All right.
Mashes towards an artery, blows more blood towards the
it's
shoulder.
It's like a Sam Raimi moment, basically, where it's just a ridiculous...
Yeah.
So off in the distance where the old man is being attacked, he continues to get attacked, and you can see it's just this fountain of gore coming out of his body as these two kind of bladed forearms just continue to eat away and cut him down. And so that's his turn. That's that beast's turn. And then we'll say the next one is the one that Madjac attacked. So walk me through what I need to do to move again, Madjac.
So it's my vigilance, which I use for accuracy, versus their strong. So I'll roll vigilance, and then the modifier, flat. They're strong.
No,
flat?
Strong is flat. Yeah.
Okay. So, and then if I succeed, he can't move.
Okay. All right, and that looks like a success. So you can see as it's kind of slowing down, and then you can just see it sort of stops, and it looks down, and this maybe your arrow just happened to kind of slip through it and kind of go through and through, and then it hit like the back of its leg on like a secondary shot, and it looks back, and its leg has just kind of been pinned a bit to the ground, and it's reaching back, so it cannot move. So it remains fixed in place, still at a distance from all of you. Okay. Anything else that we have to do for that?
Every turn that comes up, we just re-roll that, and until he succeeds, he can't move.
Okay. And I do not have a ranged attack with him, and so I'm going to continue going. The other one in that group will use its move action. I think to just target Madjac. So I think it'll use its move action to come up to Madjac as you have been firing at its best friend. They're college roommates, and it's going to attempt to attack you. Okay, so I'm attacking you, but you're still making the roll. So it's going to be versus this thing's accuracy. So roll what your defense is normally versus this thing's accuracy. So it's
I'm assuming all their stats are the same, so I don't have to target a new one. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. All their stats are the same. Okay, so you come up and it tries to, and it just tries to swing away and bite away. You see this arm extends from the elbow and just becomes this bulbous, spiky club. It's not metal; it's just bone that seems to have been shaved and hurved away. And it swings and swings, but you just kind of dance to the left and dance to the right, and you manage to avoid getting hit by it. Okay, and then the last one is the one over by Gwydion, and I don't see any reason for him not to move towards Gwydion. Gwydion, do you have a long weapon?
No, he's got a couple hammers, basically.
Okay. So it'll use its move action to engage you in melee. I'm going to use a free action that it has to use its Berserker ability, which basically allows it to frenzy, and if it does hit, it will do extra damage. And then it is going to, with, again, these bone craft weapons, swing away at you. So Gwydion, you get to roll defense, again, against this thing's accuracy, which is a -1.
Okay. So, sorry, finding my... So I click on the armor thing, right?
So yeah, you can just click on where it says defend using quick. So just click on quick, and it'll do it. And then you should have a -1 modifier if you're still targeting the beast.
Okay,
and you pick.
I'll type in the -1.
Okay. Yeah, you can custom it, or you can just pick from the drop-down menu. Okay.
Make it. I rolled
don't
quick
think-
-1.
He matched it, so
No.
he made it.
No, he didn't. He didn't pass actually because he's wearing his armor. It's not a quick test.
Okay.
You have to roll your armor. You need it at 12 because
Okay.
your medium armor has a -2. It's fine. It just means you get hit.
So-
That's all.
Well, so I'll take that roll, but just to see if I'm rolling it correctly this time.
Okay. Yeah, and it does do the. Okay, so
Okay.
So yeah,
in the
so
future, I'll
because you
just
have
click on
medium
that
armor, it's impeding and it gives you like a -2 on certain things like
Gotcha.
this defense. Okay, so it did. So both of them. So it ends up hitting no matter what. You. All right. So this thing is going to do. Most of the time, these things have flat damage, but because I used its frenzy, it actually gets a bonus damage. I'm going to have you roll it. Roll a d6.
Okay.
As this thing
Watch
is now
me roll a
berserking.
6.
I hope so. You're going to do it to yourself.
I did. I rolled a 6 just for you, buddy.
Gosh.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay, so that means it's going to be doing a total of 14 points of damage to you.
Oh,
You rolled your protection. Protection is a die value. You rolled a 6, so it's 14 minus 6, and so you're going to end up taking 8 points of damage.
And something has to beat my threshold to like
Yeah,
Does that
needs
have
to
to
be
clear
nine.
my threat.
It has
That's to clear it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good, because
All right.
my threshold is 8.
Is 8. Okay. So you instead just take 8 as you stab your offhand into the other one, but in doing so, this gives it an opportunity as and it lunges at you with this frenzied rage in its eyes, its face contorted and twisted. Like it has like a humanoid shape, but it's like the beast has taken over. You can see tufts of hair and fur here and there. The bone underneath the eye is starting to clear underneath the skin. Its teeth are almost sharpened down into points, and then it just starts to swing away at you with one of these huge clubs. So 8 points of damage. I hit somebody, guys. I'm so excited.
Oh,
You
excited.
did, and hard.
I'm very excited.
oh
Okay.
my God, that would have been ugly.
That would
Now
have
we come
killed
to
me.
the owl. I know, like I've looked at your sheets. I'm like, all I got to do is attack Ruena and Attolia. And I'm getting me some skulls. Owl, you're up, man. 3 are
The
still
owl.
4 still left.
Yeah, the one's pinned. One's on Madjac.
Mm-hmm.
Gwydion just got pummeled.
got
The owl is going to go to Gwydion and the children and go towards that
Okay.
one.
Okay.
As the owl marches forward, he will trigger Berserker.
Okay. Oh, hey, we're twins.
yay!
Berserker buddies.
Hey!
Okay. Well, it means
we-
you know what happens here then, because he used Berserker. His defense is actually considered to be 5 on your attack while he's frenzying. Super easy to
Nice.
hit him.
So what's his penalty? Just
His
total?
defense is just 5. Like it's just 5. That's all it is. So it's just a flat 5.
Okay, let me see if I just target him if it works.
I don't think it does because there's not an active trigger. So basically, you just need it's his defense is 5. So that would be what minus? It'd be +5 for
Plus
you. So it'd
5,
be a
basically.
plus 5.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was trying to get
Okay.
at.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
9.
9 points of damage. Okay, this one hasn't taken any damage yet, so that is its first damage, which is enough to clear its threshold. So you can choose what would you like to do. Would you want to do a free attack with it, or do you want to let it drop? to
Oh,
the ground?
yes, I would like to do a free attack.
Even with a 19, because of his frenzy, you are able to hit. Describe how you take this one out as it's trying to eat Gwydion's face.
Yeah, I think the owl just charges forth. You hear once again the crunching of the ground as his heavy armor moves forward, and you see he swings the sword with one hand that's way too big to be wielding with one hand. And as he goes and cleaves into this creature, just cleaving it in half, you see the earth just kind of shatter. And then from Owl's point of view, he hears nothing but just feels the rocks kind of vibrate and shatter underneath his feet.
Beautiful.
Does Gwydion know that you're deaf?
Most people in Thistlehold know he's deaf.
Yeah.
So it's
Gwydion
it's
will
like
give you a
common.
thumbs up.
It's like common knowledge that
And we've
he-
traveled together.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
He's a dick.
And after that ends, we don't have the familiar on the sheet, but I'll just use it as the same
Oh, yeah.
initiative.
Sorry, I
Basically, I'm
forgot
just
to
going to
do that.
have the familiar go charge with this old guy and just kind of be there herring it using double movement
Okay, that sounds great.
to try and be like a distraction and help the guy. Maybe if he's not dead, but
Okay. It's Pyre, right?
yeah.
All right, sorry, I forgot to change.
No, you're good.
Change the look of it, but we'll put them out nonetheless, so that we know where they're at.
Yeah.
Okay. So they move over and they just start harrying the beast again, like you said, not actually hitting them yet because they had a double move, but nonetheless there to potentially give them another target. And then we come to Attolia. The battlefield, I mean, it is like there's dust everywhere. You can hear the sounds of crying and screaming. You still hear the shaking or feel the shaking of the earth every now and then. The crack of the earth as well. You hear the sounds of rubble falling. You see one of these is struggling to wrench itself free from a pin to the ground that Madjac had shot at it. You see that Gwydion and Owl both have been able to take one out, and Pyre has flown over to another beast that seems to be attacking an old man. What would you like to do, Attolia?
So Attolia sticks her hand into a quiver, kind of just hidden in her back behind the cloak, and pulls out probably about 3 arrows at this point in time. She doesn't think she's going to need the full set. Our friends have done a lot of damage. And she's going to cast Storm Arrow, tossing them into the air. And you can see sort of the runes start to light up again, sort of dulled by the bandages that are now back on her arms in her natural form. And I need to make a resolute test.
Yes.
So these arrows will up to 5 on a successful. Yeah, I'm just going to roll just to make sure I get this first.
They like literally float in the air. Like
they're surrounded by little lightning. Awesome. So I've got 3 like little lightning arrows pointed, whatever I would like.
Love it.
That is not rolling. 1 second. Let me try again. Roll.
And are you targeting the one that was pinned, or are you targeting the one in the distance?
I apologize. I am targeting the one at the distance. I hit T on it to target it, but
okay. Yeah. No worries. Just roll a straight up because the target doesn't matter because it's not affected by any of its stats. You're just rolling a flat resolute for yourself.
Yes. Ooh. All right, that's actually a fail.
You fail.
You still gain the temporary corruption too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And because I have level 2 in witchcraft, that means I do only ever get 1 corruption on witch spells. For the other ones, I have to roll a d4.
So it's like a max of 1. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does it look like though as you try to cast, but something goes wrong and the corruption takes over? What does that look like for Attolia?
So she is like half getting these arrows thrown up and half kind of looking towards Gwydion because she's planning on moving towards him. And she just like loses the concentration on the arrow, and there's the flare of the ruins stings and surprises her, and she shakes her hand and it loses the spell.
Okay. And so as that moment happens, Verena, you're right next to Attolia, and as you know, a magic user yourself, you might be somewhat familiar with like that kind of effect, right? What does Verena do as you are next up? And there are still 2 out there, though. Your front line has done a very effective job at cleaning things.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
So what Verena is going to do is she is going to, instead of doing a move action and a combat action, she wants to do 2 movement actions so that she can take up a flanking position on the other side of the one that Madjac is on, since he will likely come up before her. So if you do 2 movement actions, then it will avoid the free action in trying to get into a flanking position. So just to give Madjac the advantage on his turn.
Okay. I like it. So we see Rowena trudging over some of this terrain, and as this beast attacks Madjac, you're able again to dodge and shift and move. You do see the form of Rowena just suddenly burst out of the dust from behind as you spin around, and the 2 of you are now basically flanking. And it is your turn, Madjac.
Madjac just gives her that smile that says, "Thank God somebody remembered I was here." And he switches weapons, so it's just really fluid motion because he's trained with the elves for years on this. He whips his bow around and brings his spear off his back in a really tight grip up near the head of the spear and goes to slice it across this thing. So my movement
Okay.
action was to switch weapons and then
Switch weapons.
then
Yeah,
I'll
I
go
got you.
back.
Okay. So yeah, it's its accuracy, so it's a -1 on your attack.
You get a +2 for
But-
flanking.
Yeah, but the flanking gives you the advantage. So if you don't get that, but if you hit, you also get extra damage. too.
D4.
Yeah. So net +1.
And then 1d4 extra if I hit.
Mhm.
If you hit, yep.
If.
Oh, with your 3, of course you do.
Nice.
What if?
Did that
What
factor?
if?
No, it didn't factor it in. It shouldn't have factored in. So you're getting. It did factor it in. Look at that. It has the
Yeah,
advantage
there's a
right
thing
there.
you can click on the weapon to choose advantage.
Oh, it does.
Nice.
Okay, right on.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really roll. I don't know if you guys realize that. I don't really roll, so I don't really understand that. All right, so Madjac then. Describe your kill. Actually, no, wait. 9 points is not enough. I had lied. Never mind.
What?
That takes
Is it
it down
enough?
to 1.
Does it exceed his
it's an-
threshold?
It does indeed. So you can take a second shot at it if you
Yeah,
want.
so
you
he,
can take a swing.
he slices across with the spear, then reverses it and brings it down right through the thing's, right
Beautiful.
across its collarbone, hopefully.
Okay, and you should still get. You're still gonna have flanking, so the same bonuses apply. What's the other damage mod on that? I see pike. I see advantage, and what's the other damage mod? you also
Yeah,
like
that
it.
should. I don't think that should have.
Oh,
been
I
in
think
there.
he typed a D4 and then
yeah.
it had advantage
All right,
on
so
there.
we'll say you did 7 with your first hit. We'll take
Okay,
the 3 since I was higher. Okay. As long as you hit, you should be able to clean this guy out. Oh, look at you! Describe your kill,
Nice.
Aaron.
So it's just like that. He
Nice.
slices across the thing, and it leans forward into the blow, and then he reverses the head of the pike and puts it right between his collarbone and straight down through his lungs and into his heart. And twists and yanks it back out.
And you see it just kind of it coughs a bit. There's no bit of like empathy that'll come from this as its eyes just stare anger and hate, and it does not. Yeah,
pushes it
and it
down.
just falls to the ground, wiping the hand and the blade of its corrupted black red blood. Okay. Gwydion, your turn. The one immediately next to you is out, but since you moved kind of like to the middle ground, the one that Pyre, the owl, is actually harassing is just one movement away from you. The one that Madjac has pinned is also one movement away from you, so you can kind of take your pick, really.
I'll go for the one that the Pyre. Is that it?
Mhm.
Pyre's harassing. I'll go for
Okay.
it.
All right, so you run up, charge in. And so he's just, the guy is like on the ground stabbing, and you can see the man that it's stabbing at this point. It's just the whole torso has just been destroyed, and with each stab and thrust of the sort of the forearm blade, you just see more and more blood popping up out of the man. You can tell he is no longer, but you can protect somebody else from suffering the same fate. So what do you do?
I come running up and just smack the living hell out of it.
Absolutely, man.
Maybe.
Okay.
No, I don't.
You miss.
Oh.
You come
But
running
that's
up.
okay.
You swing. You do
Oh.
miss.
I'll use the other hand.
The other hand. Okay. You do have your offhand.
Nice.
Okay.
Only 5 though.
And since it has to clear, it does not actually break its threshold. But it does do. You do 5 points of damage, and it does stop now attacking this old man as you smack it over the back of its head, and it turns and looks at you.
Great.
You did good job.
You're a
Good.
big damn
good.
hero. Okay.
We'll put that on your tombstone. Big dumb hero.
Big damn hero. Big damn or big dumb? I don't know.
There's 2 sides to a tombstone.
It's another set. Okay.
Both. Actually, I want the IPA on the other one.
Okay. The beast that is over by Gwydion and Pyre will turn its attention to Gwydion as you have done damage to it. Makes sense.
Yep.
I will go ahead and free action, initiate its berserker, and I will attack you. So go ahead and roll your defense versus its accuracy.
So I'll roll my armor.
Yeah, you roll from the armor section.
Okay, got it.
Oh dear. God, I'm going to kill Jeremy.
Damn.
You are.
I'm
Roll a
going to
D6
kill
for
Jeremy.
ya.
Roll
These are
another
terrible.
6, 6 please.
This is
Oh my
great.
god.
I only rolled a 2 that
Okay.
time, thankfully.
All right, total of 10 points of damage minus your 4 protection, meaning you take 6 points of damage.
Fine. He's still up.
Oh,
He's-
boy.
He's on
I'd be
literally.
so dead.
He's on his last point.
Oh
He's
my
literally
gosh.
just.
Really? Oh, wow.
He's at 1 hit
Somebody
point, just barely
Okay.
standing.
You ran away from me. I'm trying.
hear no bell. Okay, the other
you.
beast that has been pinned will continue to try to chase after Madjac. So go ahead and do the roll for me there to see if it can move.
And you said it was just a flat?
Against its strong, yeah, it's just a flat.
Strong.
There's no, this is a 0, no modifier. Can it move? It cannot. As you, yeah. So you roll to succeed. So it again, and you see just blood flying out from where the arrow actually hit it, and then the leg is starting to tear and wrench free. You can see it just has no care whatsoever for the pain of just ripping and pulling away the flesh and like the Achilles effectively of it. And that is the end of my go with these beasts. It's going to come to the owl now. So owl, what do you want to do?
Before the owl moves to Gwydion, he will kind of usher the family, like pointing where they came from into like a direction that's safe.
Okay.
And then he will move over. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and you don't hear because you probably turned, but the rest of you do hear. Like, thank you. Oh goodness, come children! And like you can see they're like the kids are all picked up, one arm, you know, like 2 kids under each arm, and then like both of them, are, like the oldest one's kind of running belong. The woman who is swinging the broomstick like helps up the old woman, and you do in fact save that family as they begin to run and kind of flee in the direction of the northern gates where you came from. So Al, you move in. Okay, so you're on the beast that attacked Gwydion, excuse me.
Yes.
Go for it.
The massive sword swings down again.
See, it's strategy. I get them to frenzy to make it easier for you to hit them. It's teamwork.
Teamwork.
Yes.
Makes the dream work.
Only 7.
We were talking about the need for a tank. That is still enough, as he has already taken 5 points of damage. It'll be enough to kill. So Al, go ahead and describe your kill.
I think the owl starts to pick up his pace as he sees Gwydion, like, you know, stumbling, and he kind of pushes him aside as he takes a wide arc with his massive sword and just cleaves it, like bisecting it.
Okay. And so there's like this eruption of blood that just cascades onto Gwydion, maybe a speck or 2 onto Pyre, onto the owl, and this poor man that you see at your feet that was being attacked, who is just, he's not bifurcated, but he has taken so many of these stab wounds to the stomach, to the chest, that like maybe he's, but you know that he's basically dead. We go back to Attolia, who magic did not work for you. What do you want to do this time?
Nope. Let's keep chasing Gideon down. Here we go.
Okay.
Movement action first.
Okay.
I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you.
You trying to heal him?
I did want to have my arrows up, but that's not happening. So now we're just going to lay on hands.
Okay. So what is the how much does that heal?
I need to do another
Mystical healing,
resolute test first. We will hopefully
Oh my
pass.
God.
Nope, never mind.
No.
Really sorry. Real
20.
sorry.
Fine.
Oh my
Take
God.
that point
Fine.
of corruption.
Take that more
Everything's
corruption.
fine.
And how does this manifest? How does it go wrong this time?
Oh no.
Attolia is just like cursing up a storm. Nothing seems to be working right now. It's very stressful. She wasn't anticipating an attack this morning. Little loaves of bread falling out of her pockets as she runs after Gideon, who keeps moving away, and just in her frustration slams her hands onto his back and just like a pulse and nothing. And she's like, "Hey, God, fucking damn! Oh my fucking!" And Gideon, you just like hear a sailor talk right behind you for the next
He
5
nods
minutes.
in agreement.
It's the next
This morning.
day. It's been that kind of day.
It's been a fucking day. I've got a fucking healing cure in my backpack, if nothing else.
Okay. So as the sailors cussing go, we have one left. That was the first one attacked, actually, who's been pinned this whole time. And Rowena, it is your turn. You are within a movement of it if you wanted to try to close in and finish it off.
Madjac winks at Rowena.
Rowena's gonna go die now because.
Well, don't worry.
I
mean, you know that Madjac and Gwydion. Well, Gwydion is actually too far away, but Madjac will get to go before this thing gets to go. So you do know
It's
that
fine.
you have backup.
So Rowena's just gonna go and run. When she gets there, can she go to the far side? So that it makes it easier.
You just get there. You can just basically get there.
So the problem with Madjac is if he doesn't want to get a free attack, Madjac, if you're going to come in and hit it, you're going to have to take a free attack while you go to flanking.
I'm not going to run in there and hit it.
He's going to fire it. He's going to shoot. Yeah, he's going to switch his weapon.
Okay. Rowena's going to go in and she's going to polearm this thing up. And
these don't have long weapons, so they're not taking attacks like when you come in. So only if you wanted to.
And I can stay because I've got the. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I should have been paying closer
y'all don't kill it, you're in trouble, but maybe.
Yes. So
if you and Madjac don't kill it, because Gwydion can't get there, I'm going to kill you next turn. Because if I do the damage to you that I did to Gwydion,
yeah, I know.
It's no more Odo and Magica in this group.
Okay, so I'm going to be hitting this with my quarterstaff.
All right. Do it.
What is it versus again?
Accuracy, which is going to be -1. This one didn't do it. This one hasn't frenzied, so it doesn't have the debuff that the rest of them had. So this is. I'm sorry. This is quick. My bad. So it's okay. It's actually So it's not. It's
quick -1.
No. It just target it and hit defense, and it should do it automatically. It's a +5. That's weird. It's a +5 no matter what. That's weird.
Did I do that right? So
you did, in fact. You hit and you kill it. Describe your kill. Is this has already taken damage? So what does it look like, Rowena?
So Rowena was just sort of standing there in defensive position with the quarterstaff, with the other one because she knew she was just sort of there to help Madjac. And then she just sort of looks at the other one, looks back at Madjac, and sort of like takes off running towards it, and just sort of she does actually have polar mastery, and so she does kind of actually very cool looking sort of like spin with it as she comes running up and spins and just conks it on the side of the head.
And it was constantly trying, so it almost doesn't even pay attention to it in some ways. And as you smack it over the head, its head just kind of collapses inward. You find the perfect spot, and the head crumbles. You notice now, as you are taking a minute, Gwydion bleeding quite profusely, the family scrambling away, the man near the owl, and Gwydion in Attolia, you can, with your healing knowledge, you look at this guy and he's like final breaths and he's trying to utter something, but the blood is in his mouth. He's almost sort of choking on it. And over by Madjac and Rowena, the man that you two saved that had burst out of the dust cloud and was chased by these two, he says, thank you for your assistance. What is? Fortune hunters. And he goes up to you, Madjac, and you can see he kind of hesitates, almost extends a hand in a way. He's like he's taking you in. You have a interesting look. I am Aliba. If fortune strikes you and you have artifacts in your travels, come find me in the Antique Plaza, should it still stand. I will give you a nice price in return. And
my friend.
He starts to back away, and he puts up a hand, and then he kind of turns at that point. He doesn't run, but you can see he moves with a little bit of urgency. As all of you are catching your breath, Gwydion maybe being attended to, maybe saying a final word over the man who passed in front of you. You guys are breathing. The dust is still swirling. You still hear the sounds of the cracking of earth, the crumbling of these buildings. You can hear the distant sound of what you know is likely a building literally collapsing. There's like this moment of utter quietness that just almost feels more unnerving than any of the other things that you just heard. And then it's quickly replaced as you hear, and you look down the same alley where the man had burst out from, being chased by these two. You hear these growls, these cursing, and as the dust begins to swirl and lessen, you can see there's more of these kind of loping, bestial, humanoid creatures that you have just slaughtered in front of you, and they seem to be charging out in front of a pair of warrior-looking folk. They look just like these bestial creatures, but they are taller. They stand more erect. You can even see they are wearing these patches of armor, almost stitched or just anchored to sections of their body, and they charge at you. And that is where we're going to end for tonight. And that's our first session. Okay.
We're all going to die in the second session.
Don't worry, you'll have a beat. If you wanted to roll healing on Gwydion, you could have. We'll do that to start. But you have one. I'll say you have like basically one beat to do one thing, and then this second wave
that could do something
comes at you. Okay.
Would this be a separate scene that clears the corruption?
No, this is not a separate scene. I'm sorry. It is not. Okay. So we do. Everyone, we have fun. It was pretty good.
Was awesome.
I don't think we had any major little things here and there. But if we notice something, if you see something, let us know, and we'll either correct it, or we will rudely tell you to. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. All right. Well, let's do some closing plugs, and we'll get on out of here. I'm very excited because I thought we were going to get like a couple places further. So I have all this prep ready to go. So like I got half next session prep ready to go.
Nice.
Yes.
Awesome.
You
got to love it when that works out.
I love it when that works. Yeah, it's fantastic. Okay. Let's do some closing plugs and we'll get on out of here. Let's start with Aaron. Aaron, tell us what's going on over at Garbly Games.
Tuesday is a little bit up in the air next week, but Wednesday we will be back for Marvel Multiverse, the Cataclysm of Kang. We are still in New York City fighting against Hydra agents from the alternate reality. On Thursday, Pete, I believe, will be back for more of his heroic deeds, playing through the Red Hand of Doom adventure. So definitely check that out. Soon-ish, Season 3 of Dune, the Dargoosh, House Dargoosh series will be back as well. So keep an eye out for that.
Very nice. Jeremy, want to tell us about this Patreon?
Sure, Aaron. We some Patreon. There's comics, maps, tokens, fun stuff. Check it out. Fan-freaking-tastic. As for us here, our next game's tomorrow night, and Aaron, you're running it. I don't know if you're aware. What are we playing?
Oh my God. We will be playing, we're going to go back to Cubicle 7's Warhammer 40K Wrath and Glory, where our group of troubleshooters are in the midst of the dark bidding adventure in the litanies of the lost, trapped between warring factions of the Adeptus Mechanicum and two Inquisitors who are out for blood. Should be fun. I'll try to kill somebody next week too.
Our last session just had so much like AdMech goodness, and so I was just like in my element. Like it was like the best. I love it. It was. After that, we got Saturday. We've got some Call of Cthulhu, Eternal Lies, where we're going to a drug den, and we'll see what happens. It's possible. Could be some drugs. Possible. Could be some romance, or you could break some skulls. It's one of those three, I think, or all of the above. We'll find out. Then on Monday, we're going to be doing more Fragged Empire. You can see Melissa, Jeremy, and myself in that game. Fun, crazy sci-fi weirdness, kind of Farscape kind of vibe is what we're kind of going for. Tuesday, you can see the four people on the left side of your screen as we're going to be playing more Cloud Empress. It's a Nausicaa-inspired setting for Mothership. We played one session of it this past Tuesday. We're going to finish that one shot up next week. Steven's running that as per usual. And then we'll be back next Thursday with more of Symbaroum as it's off the ground and running. If you haven't already checked out our YouTube page for Adventures in Lollygagging, please go take a look at that. Maybe give it a sub. We've got all sorts of games over there, including, if you're Free League fans, we just started up Alien again. We used to play it a lot back in the day when it first came out. It's been a little bit while. And so this week, for some reason, I thought it was a good idea for me to start 2 campaigns in 1 week. And so that happened. And the first session of Alien is up as well. So go take a look. And otherwise, check out the Discord. Come hang out with us. Come talk. We'll probably drop some art and stuff here and there when it comes to Symbaroum and some of these other games. Otherwise, that's it for tonight. Thank you to the Rebel Pilot. I saw we got a raid. We definitely appreciate that raid. We are going to pay it forward. We're going to raid Insomnia Night RPG. Have a great rest of your night. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching this later. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.